Hello, and welcome to this Analyst Angle on leveraging innovative technology in the NFL and beyond. I'm Bob LaLiberte, Principal Analyst with theCUBE Research, and today I'm joined by Brent Brown, the Global Vice President and General Manager of Advanced Location Technologies, and Dominic Russo, Client Services for Zebra Sports, both from Zebra Technologies. And today I wanted to discuss how the Zebra technology and the data it's generating is improving player safety, optimizing performance, and enabling differentiated experiences. So welcome, Brent and Dominic.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you both on. And so this whole video came out because I was in New York City last week for the National Retail Federation show in the Javits Center. And I stopped by the Zebra Technologies booth. And so in addition to all the solutions they had there that were enabling retailers, I was really intrigued by the way they're using some of this tech within the NFL. And given that the Super Bowl is just around the corner, it seemed like a really good time and a topic to have a little bit further discussion. And specifically, I'm talking about some of this the RFID technology, you have both active and passive, that you're using to aid player health and safety while also enabling next-gen stats for the NFL teams and their fans. So with all that said, why don't we get started? Brent, before we dive really down into the NFL solutions, perhaps you could give us more of a general overview of Zebra Technologies.
Sure. Well, listen, Bob, I was glad to know that you were able to get to NRF and see the show itself, because it was another great show this year, and Zebra has a very prominent position at the National Retail Federation show there at the Javits, and we have for quite some time. You know, we have played a very significant role in a lot of industries, and that show in particular focuses with our presence around retail. And you know, we're a dominant barcode company, and we're moving to new technologies to help with our customers. But we really have a portfolio of technology that helps our retail customers and beyond, really in the area of handheld technology, mobile computing, print, and also even some machine vision and capabilities that we have to really drive upstream into the supply chain of our customers. So you know, we have a chance to showcase a lot of that at NRF, and the business unit that I'm responsible does focus on RFID, and that does come in the flavor of two types, as you mentioned, both passive and active. And the easiest way to think about the difference between a passive tag and an active tag is that an active tag requires a battery, because that battery helps that tag emit its message to say, here's who I am, here's what I am. And a passive tag needs electrification, or it needs a shot of energy into it to wake it up and say, here's what I am. So, you know, that really takes hold in a lot of different scenarios with our customers, be it from, you know, package parcel through to items in a retail store, like what we would have been showing last week for retailers. But in the active space, we have lots of customers like the NFL who use technology that needs something that's emitting a signal and transmitting more real time, and that goes beyond NFL. We are helping our customers in with companies like Boeing who utilize similar type of technology. But that gives you a quick view, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the NFL today. So back to you, Bob.
Excellent, thanks. Yeah, and certainly, like I said, the technology I saw at the booth was very cool, from being able to have a handheld device that could look at a shelf and tell you whether it was set up correctly. So the software, the hardware, the technology that you have, the digital signage that you could have, which would enable you to sync up what you were wearing and to put a whole package together for both a complete outfit, which certainly I could use. So I'm looking forward to that getting to a place near me. But yeah, so lots of really cool technologies. And so we're definitely going to have to talk about that some more on a different video. Switching gears a little bit back over to the NFL, and Dominic, I know you're running the sports section here. So the NFL partnership you've had, it's been there for a while. You've got a bunch of different technologies that you use. How has all this evolved so you can better meet the league's goals for player health and performance, right? Because I know there's a lot of talk about the safety of the players these days, right? The concussion protocol, the blue tent, all this stuff that, back 35 years ago when I played some football, no one got concussions. You just got your bell rung and you rubbed some dirt on it and you went back in. Thankfully now there's a lot more evolved technology to help organizations. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Bob, definitely. So there's two different technologies that are instrumented during NFL games, like Brent had referred to. So we have the active part, which is, I have a tag right here actually. It weighs only a couple grams, and this actually goes in every player's shoulder tags. So that's the active portion. And with that data, you could get XY location of where players are on the field, where they are in formations, and you could get data points such as distance, how fast they are traveling, acceleration, at different event points throughout a play, from snap, when the ball is caught. So there's the active portion there. And then from the passive side, we're also tracking all the equipment that is worn by all the players. So we'll know exactly what type of helmet a player is wearing, what type of shoulder pads, what type of knee braces, just to get the full profile of a player, of what they're wearing, but then and also what they're doing on the field. So really just a combination of both of those technologies to get a full view and picture of what the player is doing on the field. And ultimately, yes, that is the goal. We want the players to remain on the field for as many games as possible. That's great for the product and great for the sport. It's great for the fans, and also good for the players as well. We want the players to be safe and to perform to their best on every game day.
Yeah, I think that's great. And obviously you've been doing this for a while now, right? It's close to, is it what, 8 or 10 years you've been doing it now?
This is our 11th season now of being the official tracking provider for the NFL. So yes, quite a few seasons, and we've gotten buttoned it up pretty good now.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about some of the significant insight or trends that the data has revealed about player performance or game strategy. Like I said, certainly, like you were talking about, that ability to show speed, where they are, that type of thing. That sounds really cool. Anything else that's in particular of interest for the NFL that they want to see?
I mean, just from a data collection perspective, we've been doing this for 11 years now, and just being able to have the full picture of what the athlete is doing on the field in practice and in game is extremely important to the NFL. So not only are we providing this solution on game day, but we also provide this to teams that use this every day in practice as well. So teams use this for players coming back from injury and hopefully getting back up to where they were before injury if injuries do happen. It's evolved into scouting and analytics, where instead of a scout saying that player is really fast, or that player is able to accelerate at these data points really well, better than others, you now actually have this data behind it. So you have the player health and performance part of it. You have the scouting, the analytics part, and then you also have the fan experience, where players fans are really able to look at stats and build opinions of their own to help to support their opinions of what players they like and what players they don't like.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things I wanted to find out about is, thinking about that safety aspect of it, and you've got the RFID tags, they're on the shoulder pads. Are they on the helmets as well? Things like that, and or any other equipment? And how does the data that's collected from that, how does that contribute to enhancing the player safety? And I wonder if you've got any real world examples where that data has made a big difference for the NFL or for the players.
Yeah, so the tag that I have here, this is in all of the players' shoulder pads, and there's one in each shoulder pad, so it goes right under the top of the epaulette. So the players don't even know that it's there. So those are the tags that help to get the distance data, the XY tracking location. For the other tags, the passive that's tracking what equipment they're wearing, those are barcodes, and those will be on the helmets. Those will be on the shoulder pads as well, on the knee braces, and that will keep track of what they're wearing when they walk through portals, exiting and entering the locker room. In terms of what's that leading to, the NFL definitely takes a look at our tracking data, and helps to look at things if things need to be tweaked, and they take that into consideration, and it's just another valuable data point for them to have. Each year, the NFL also goes through protocols to saying what helmets are the safest, what shoulder pads are the safest, and knowing what players wear, uh, what helmets are leading to concussions, what shoulder pads are leading to different types of injuries, are certain types of cleats leading to certain lower body injuries. You can really take all this data and use it to make informed decisions of what ultimately is the best for a player to wear and to use on game day to ultimately keep them healthy and playing on Sundays.
Yeah, just a further add color to that, Bob. If you think about a passive tag on a pair of cleats that Dom is referring to, and he talked about that player passing through a portal, leaving the dressing room and going out onto the field, we can see and we pick up that read. We understand what particular cleat, the exact cleat type that and shoe that player was using. And if for some unknown reason that player has an injury, we can go back and look at that depending on the turf type of turf that they're running and playing on. You could quickly go back and analyze what were the particular cleats that they were wearing during that game. So you can get the data very accurately and very clearly, whereas someone might decide to say, no, that wasn't the shoe I was wearing. Well, we can actually prove that it was indeed the shoe they were wearing.
Yeah, and I could see if you could get that in real time, certainly when you're thinking about some of the recent Super Bowls where the field maybe wasn't in such a great condition, that ability, and you've seen this over time and time, right? Where people changing cleats at halftime due to the field conditions, due to things like that, being able to then go back and historically look at that and look at the conditions of the field, put that together, determine what are the best cleats to wear as well for the right. All those things can really make a difference in the game, right? When it's decided by inches. So
Absolutely.
yeah, no, that's really cool, and it's great that the all the teams have access to that data as well. So
It's one other thing just to touch on that point of the teams having access to that data is teams are also now able to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to injuries, and that's really important. A team could see how many times Patrick Mahomes has worn a certain cleat. Say, hey, he's worn it for 10 practices. Do we need to swap those out? Or he's worn the same cleat for 15 weeks. Should we get him a new cleat? Teams could be proactive, and that's important to ultimately keeping the player safe. And having that data at your hands to be able to have that in real time is extremely valuable.
absolutely, absolutely, that's great to hear. And so it's great that the players are getting benefit, the teams are getting benefit. Obviously, the NFL has the benefit of it, but I also know in working with a lot of NFL teams that fan experience is really important to those organizations. And I know with this data that's being collected, it can be used both for in stadium and at home. And we've seen a lot of probably a lot of people don't know who's powering some of those next gen stats platform, but that's you guys, right? Zebra Technology is actually powering a lot of those next gen stats as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Without our raw underlying tracking data, then those stats would not be possible to create. So definitely playing a role in that. Like you said, fan experience, teams will often show stuff on the video boards, and all that data is collected in real time. How fast guys are running, how much distance they're covering. We have a chip in the football, so passing charts, those sorts of things could get created in real time. The fan experience extends to off the field with the Next Gen Stats website, where essentially it's a big warehouse where you could get all of this advanced data points. The NFL created a new website, a subscription based now, where you could even get more advanced stats that involves the Next Gen Stats and the tracking data that we're producing. So it's really a huge library and database of metrics that the fans could use and to make opinions on their own. You'll see a lot of things now of fantasy websites, just doing player comparisons, and they'll be using the next gen stats and some of the metrics that come from it to back up an opinion that they might have for a player. So it's really affects all different assets for all the different things fans can access.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add a little color to that too, Bob. You think about, our mobile phones and access to information that we have, in our day and day of lives. I mean, having this kind of capability for the NFL, the underlying data that Dom's talking about, and then extending that into the hands of their consumer. I mean, that just creates a whole new experience, whether you're looking at team as a whole or individual players that you're following or the competition. I mean, that there's any different ways that you can slice and dice that information to create a whole different experience for the users and for the fan base. And you know, we're very proud to participate that in the way that Zebra does.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's great. And every like I said, I mean, obviously the NFL is a very hot product right now, and there's a lot of fans, and so anything that they can do to make it a more engaging environment, to be able to have, like I said, even just seeing the times when I've seen where they're showing like here's the velocity of the ball speed and things like that, which is obviously is being generated from your devices. That's just cool stuff that fans that are at home, I know watching on TV, really like to see and enjoy seeing. So definitely looking forward to seeing more of that in the Super Bowl. And hopefully this gives everyone an idea that's watching this video, when they then go and watch the Super Bowl and see those stats coming up, they'll know how this data is being generated. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Another thing I wanted to touch upon, so we talked a lot about, where you've been, how many years, things that have happened, but what about looking forward? Where do you see how these innovations or enhancements to player tracking technology can improve and expand? What should we expect from Zebra in the upcoming months and years to further improve player health, safety, and performance?
Yeah, I think definitely there's an opportunity where we're with the NFL right now, and just being able to get a more full picture of the tracking data for some of these players. We're only tracking this data as they're coming into the NFL. So I think ultimately trying to get an even fuller picture of that, of trying to track more of the college events, or some of the college big bowl games. Those would be fantastic for Zebra. It would be great to have that data for the players as they're coming into the league. We already track a couple of different all-star events, the Senior Bowl, the East-West Shrine Game we have partnerships with, where we're tracking these players at these all-star events. And it's really one of the first times that NFL teams could look at this tracking data for players that are in college. So I think expanding and to do more different types of things with the players in college, I think would be a fantastic avenue to explore.
I think too, one of the other events that we participate in and help the NFL with is in the combine. Where we're extracting very key information and data about those inbound players. And just like Dom says, if we can move up even further before the combine, and we have data that feeds into the teams, that really helps inform them on draft and on execution with the players that they're going to be pulling onto their teams. So again, just key areas of where we're participating fundamentally with them to help them with the information.
Absolutely. That sounds great. And, NCAA, if you're out there and you're listening, maybe you want to give Zebra Technologies a call, get started with that. Brent, I wanted to wrap things up going back to you. You had mentioned in your opening that, Zebra's real-time insights apply to other industries like retail, manufacturing, I think transport that you would highlight as well, automotive. I'm wondering if you could share, maybe how some of the lessons learned from some of the sports technology has helped influence or driven innovation in these other industries, or if it was converse of that, it was these other industries driving it into the sports. I was wondering if you could comment on that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you think about the utilization of the technology, there's no doubt an active tag is a tag that does cost more money than a passive tag. And so, while we see very niche oriented utilization for active tags in the scenarios that like the NFL, passive has a great home in other areas where you can't afford an expensive tag. So if you take retail, for example, we've got many global retailers now putting passive tags on every product that's in their store environment. And what that does to improve their ability of visibility on their inventory, understanding more about what's inbound to their store for receiving, tracking more about what's exiting the store, what was paid for and what wasn't. This all becomes vital information for them to help execute. And ultimately, much like what we were talking about with the fan experience in a retail setting, we as consumers, we want the customers we're buying from to give us accurate information. So when they have that information, they can help fulfill an order more accurately and more quickly to help us as a consumer get what we want when we want it. So that is really is what's happening in the retail marketplace. But as you start thinking about some of the other industries that are using it, transportation logistics companies now, major ones are putting an RFID passive tag on every package that's leaving, and they can track that, through their distribution centers from where it was picked up till it's delivered at your door with accuracy. And that just means that we're going to get our deliveries quicker, and they're going to be more accurate. And as we move into industries that are just starting to mature into the space, manufacturing and even healthcare and pharmaceutical, and even government. These segments of the market that we're also focused on, we're starting to see use cases emerge where both passive and active technologies can really be applied to help them execute on their day-to-day business more effectively. And ultimately, I think for us, as consumers in some aspects, but if we're just participants in other areas, it will just make our experience a lot better. And we will continue to invest quite substantially in this area going forward because we see growth happening in every segment adopting the technology.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the ability to optimize those workflows or those processes to be able to deliver better experiences, to be able to I guess work more profitably if you're in retail, right? I think when I was out there, I was taken by one of the comments in the keynote that said, a small change to a very large number can have a significant impact on the retail industry. And I assume it's the same for a lot of these other industries, especially if you're in transport and logistics and things like that. Just having those small incremental improvements, being able to track that inventory, being able to have full visibility into where it is at all times, and then being able to, like I said, it really comes down to delivering a differentiated experience, because then you can communicate with that customer of yours to say, hey, we know exactly where the package is, it's right here, and based on that, we know when it'll get to you. So, right, so that's probably one of the biggest changes that I've seen in technology with transport, is that ability to know when something's arriving instead of just, well, it'll get here when it gets here, right? And so that's a huge difference. Obviously, in retail, when we were at the NRF, obviously they had those walkout stores, right? Probably leveraging your technology where you just be able to walk in, it knows what you're picking up, it knows what you have on there, automatically gets charged to your credit card, all those good things. So obviously a lot of great technology being brought to bear by Zebra Technologies, and organizations consuming it so that they can, like I said, optimize their workflows to be able to deliver enhanced experience, and even in the case of the NFL, being able to optimize performance, but more importantly, being able to deliver and improve the health and safety of the players who are out there every week. So listen, I really appreciate you being on. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today, but I want to thank Brent and Dominic for joining me today.
Great. Thank you for having us, Bob. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to have you on. And thank all of you for watching this Analyst Angle on the role of this RFID technology and how the NFL and other organizations are using it. For more details on Zebra Technology Solutions, please visit their website.